Phones lit up, boards shuffled, and a quiet conversation inside Allen Park just got louder than any Sunday crowd did. Detroit just put its finger on the exact pressure point that flips January football. The kind of move that doesn't chase headlines. It wins downs, length at the catch point, closing speed that erases mistakes, and a corner who turns the ball over like it's his side hustle. If you felt all week that something was building behind the curtain, you're not imagining it. Here's my promise if you stick with me to the end. We're going to unpack why this specific profile fits Aaron Glenn's blueprint, what a realistic price tag looks like in picks and cash, how the role would change the coverage menu on third down, what it means for Detroit's red zone defense, and how it affects the locker room pecking order without spoiling the name until it matters. We'll also map the timeline around the trade window and which levers Brad Holmes can pull without blowing up the cap. No fluff, no fairy tale-y football. Facts and fit. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. If you love getting this kind of inside the helm breakdown while it's still hot, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and drop a like so more Detroit diehards see this before the story settles. Let's talk ball. The Lions' identity is no secret. A front that plays downhill, linebackers who trigger decisively, and a secondary asked to live on an island long enough for the rush to close. That works when your corners win the verticals and squeeze the outs. It cracks when the ball hangs and your DB loses the last 2 inches at the rim. The goal, especially in cold weather football, is simple. Make quarterbacks throw windows, not prayers. Scheme-wise, Detroit toggles between press bail quarters match and some cover 3 looks that dare offenses to test the sideline. To call that consistently, you need a boundary corner with real length recovery gear that shows up at the top of the route and the confidence to turn, locate, and take the ball off a receiver's hands. Not just a pass defense guy, an actual turnover creator. Because takeaways travel. Zoom out to January math. The NFC's best will isolate your CB2 with formation stacks. Bunch, motion to snap forcing you to play through traffic and arrive on balance. If your guy doesn't have the stride to stay in phase and the reach to finish, you end up coaching good rep, bad result on Mondays. Detroit wants fewer of those meetings and more jog-offs after tip drill picks. Now, resources. The trade window compresses logic. Prices climb. Day 2 picks move. Contenders pay premiums for certainty at corner because you can't fake it there. The Lions aren't reckless. They're opportunistic. With a roster still insulated by cheap star contracts and extension flexibility, they can structure a deal with a pick today and conditions tomorrow without lighting a fuse under the cap. That's how smart front offices hunt in October. The market is thin. You can rent an older vet who survives on angles, or you can swing for a rare tool set and trust your DB room to clean up the edges. And here's a breadcrumb people outside Detroit forget. The Lions staff worked the Senior Bowl the year a certain long-limbed rocket ship came through Mobile. They got close-range reps. They saw the stride in person. That kind of familiarity matters when phones start ringing. Culture counts too. Detroit isn't collecting names. They're stacking pros. They want corners who'll challenge in meetings, block on turnovers, and run to celebrate a teammate's PBU like it's their own. Add a dude with elite measurables who also buys into pressure and pounce team defense, and your room standard climbs. That's real, and it shows up on Thursday installs. Okay, you've got the context, the economics, the scheme, the culture. Time to say it out loud. The name on Detroit's whiteboard is Riq Woolen. The move in play, a push to acquire the Seahawks corner with rare height, range, and ball skills, turning a position of weekly stress into a postseason advantage. Conversations, per league buzz, have circled a mid-round pick with conditions that escalate on snap counts or playoff wins, with Detroit planning an immediate role on the outside. The intrigue? Both clubs can justify it. Seattle resetting pieces in the back end. The Lions angling for a January grade secondary. Woolen is not theory, he's geometry. At 6 feet 4 inches with wingspan for days and true track speed, he changes the angles. That 4.2-inch glide erases cushion sins. His length steals the catch point, even when he's a beat late. You remember the rookie tape eyes, hands, poise, and you've seen the adjustment sense, cleaner transitions, fewer false steps at the line, more trust and leverage so he can play through the upfield shoulder instead of grabbing. He's still learning to stack routes and read 3 strong combos, but the ceiling is a penthouse. Drop him into Aaron Glenn's toolbox and the ripple is immediate. Press becomes a weapon, not a dare. Your backside corner can play true man with trail and a safety lean elsewhere. 3rd and 7 calls expand. You don't have to shade help to the boundary every time, which frees you to spin late and bait those outbreakers Detroit has been itching to jump. In the red zone, where windows compress, that condor reach is the difference between a toe tap 6 and a pat on the helmet on 4th down. The money side won't scare the lines if they like the player. Woolen's current deal is team-friendly in the short term, and Detroit can map an extension that pays for prime years without overcommitting deep into his 30s. Structure it with roster bonuses, playtime escalators, and interception incentives that make sense for a ball hawk, and you keep the locker room's internal economy sane. Risk. Of course, tall corners live on balance. When the hips don't flip clean, you give up comebacks. Penalties can spike when new coaching asks for different hands. And moving systems mid-season test communication banjo checks, bunch rules, all of it. But that's why you do it in a building where DB coaches obsess over footwork sequencing and linebackers talk like safeties. The support system here turns gifts into jobs. Timeline matters. If Detroit pulls the trigger before the schedule's heavy hitters, you buy ramp time, 2 weeks of install, special packages on 3rd down, and a measured snap count that grows to full work by the holiday stretch. Do it too late, and you're cramming syntax before finals. The smart play is early, even if the optics make the lead talk. There's also a human layer. Woolen's a quiet worker with a wide receiver pass. He knows the language of the guys he's guarding. That shows up in late hands at the catch point, and the patience not to panic when he's even. Pair that with Detroit's rally and rake philosophy, and you get a secondary that punches above its experience level. Because the ball doesn't just die. It moves. Let's be clear about what this would signal. The Lions saying, out loud, we're not waiting for next year's corner market to be kind. It's aggression with a point. Adding a turnover threat opposite your young stud gives you formation-proof answers. Motion won't scare you. Play action won't tilt the field. You'll live in the down and distance you want, not the one the offense wants. Now I want to hear you. Detroit, do you pay a real pick for a rare trait corner in October if it means the defense can call a different game in January? Would you tie part of the compensation to playoff benchmarks to protect the downside? And who in the current room benefits most from a long, fast, ball-hawking partner, your safety, who can cheat a half-step, or your nickel, who gets to be more aggressive on option routes? Drop your take below. The best ones always push this conversation forward. My personal opinion. If the price stays in the one solid pick plus conditions lane and the medicals check, I make the move. Woolen's tools don't grow on trees, and Aaron Glenn's staff is exactly the kind that turns tools into Sundays. But let me underscore it with respect. This is informed speculation, not an official announcement. Until there's paperwork and a press conference, it lives in the space where smart teams prepare, not promise.